Welcome, everyone, to another exciting Lunch and Learn here at Domo. And boy, oh boy, do we have a full house. I'm even adding one right in the midst of doing the introduction. Super excited. Stephen, thank you for jumping on as we were waiting on you there just as we went live. We appreciate everyone joining us. Today is a special session. We're going to talk about Domo's data science services team, and we have almost the whole team with us. We're super excited to give you all the big buzz and fuss about what's going on in data science services. Obviously, we have our own in-house data science services team within Domo, and we can't wait for all these folks to show you all the cool things that they're doing. So as we dive in, I'm going to turn things over probably to Christy and let her introduce her team. We're excited to be joined by Vishaka, Shelby, Brian, Florencia, and Stephen, all folks from the data science services team. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And Christy, if you want to give a brief introduction, we'll get this session started.
Thanks, Eddie. My pleasure. I'm Christy Rowley. I'm Domo's Director of Data Science. I'm also Domo's Principal Data Scientist. If you do data science at Domo, we'll probably meet at some point. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce my team. They are great. They have a lot of great material prepared for you. And mostly we just want to interact with you and allow you to hear about what we're doing. And we also want to hear about what you're doing as well. So thank you.
Appreciate that, Christy. We'll jump over to Florencia. You're up next.
Awesome. I will be sharing my screen here. Let me present. And let's make sure you can all see what I'm seeing. Can you see my slides here?
Yep, we've got it. And as always, I get out of the way. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure to put them into the chat or comment section of the YouTube page. Can't wait to hear from you. Don't be shy. Tell us where you're from. Tell us where you're joining from, maybe the organization you're with, as well as the question that you have, and we'll pop in with those as we go along this. So thanks again, Flo and team. Really appreciate you guys being a part of our live streams. This is exciting. We're going to do these. In fact, we like data science services so much. We've allotted the first Thursday of every month to this team. So really excited for them to continue to join us and excited to hear from all of you that's joining out there in the internet world. So appreciate you guys watching.
Awesome. Thank you for that very kind introduction. We are very excited to be doing this the first Thursday of every month. We want to hear from you about what content you want to see related to data science. So if you have any ideas, put them in the chat and we can talk about those and kind of plan that into our roadmap for the next few presentations. So just a little overview of what we're doing today. Shelby and I will be doing most of the content presentation, but you have everyone from our team on the call. Everyone's ready to jump in and share their perspective and their experience. And we will be first covering an overview of what we do as a services team. And then we want to talk about why you would want to use Domo for data science. We all love Domo so much. We want other people to love it as much as we do. And we want other people to use the tools that we use because they're so amazing. And then we will provide some live demos for you to see what you can do with data science in Domo, what you can do for your business stakeholders or for your end user dashboards or for your frontline workers, like whatever you want to do, Domo can probably do it. And if you struggle to do it yourself, that's what the services team is for. We're here to help out with really any data science related endeavors. So just as a brief introduction. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Flo, can you go into presentation mode?
Oh,
if not, we'll just do it this way. It's fine.
Let me see can you still see everything?
There you go. That looks good.
Yes, I like that. I'm not used to doing that in Zoom because I'm always scared, but this is different.
Okay.
Cool. So a little bit about what we do. Our job is really focused on two different areas. The first one is to provide consulting to Domo clients on any data science or machine learning projects, right? And for this, we can really help out with anything. We offer three broad types of engagements. The first one is a data strategy engagement. During these engagements, we really help your company figure out what data you need and the roadmap to follow in order to answer the business questions that you may have. And this includes, from the beginning, we start with interviews with key stakeholders, and we utilize those interviews to really pinpoint what the business priorities are for the company. We analyze your data, we evaluate it, we see how what you have lines up with what you want to pursue in terms of answering questions. So that's kind of the first pass. If you're not sure where your data's at, if you're not sure what your business questions are, a data strategy engagement is kind of what we would recommend. We then have a data science readiness. This engagement is focused on a specific use case. So this is when a customer comes to us and says, we have this business question. We just need to know how our data looks for answering that question. We need help putting it together. We need help knowing what we're missing. That's when the data science readiness comes in. And then we also provide a full data science or machine learning solution. And this is when your data is ready to go, or we're helping you get your data ready, and you are just going to get that pipeline done to answer your business question. So that's the consulting side of the professional services team. The second part is supporting data science initiatives. For example, this is an example of doing that, right? Providing these lunch and learn presentations is part of the education that we want to provide for other people, because data science is really powerful, and data science can answer a lot of questions. And so we really want to not be the only people using data science at Domo or for other companies. We also are involved in initiatives with sales and marketing. So the sales team will sometimes ask us to come in and really showcase the Domo data science platform and highlight why it's useful. So we help in that way. We are involved in marketing endeavors such as the Innovation Summit or Domopalooza. And then we are very heavily involved in product development. So we are normally diving pretty deep into a lot of the tools and trying to figure out how to improve them and how to really fine tune them in order for them to be the best tool possible. So as we said, as Eddie mentioned, we will be hosting the first Thursday of every month. We'll be doing these lunch and learns. So if you have any ideas of things you'd like covered, please leave them in the comments, or feel free to reach out to one of us, and we will be happy to take that into consideration. So a little bit about who we are. We will have everyone on the team introduce themselves, but broadly speaking, our team is led by PhDs with over 25 years of experience in using data. We come from all different backgrounds, so it's really interesting that we've kind of ended up here together. I think it makes for a very strong and diverse team. So with that, I will let everybody have a chance to introduce themselves. So Christy, I don't know if there's anything else you want to say, but we can do Christy and then Vishaka and Steven, and then Brian and Shelby if you guys want to go next, and then I'll briefly introduce myself. Should I stop sharing? Will that be better? Then you can see people's faces.
That's nice.
Yes, there we go. Okay.
I don't see Christy here, so I'll go ahead. I'm Vishaka Shenoy. I've been with Domo and on the team for about 5 years now. And on a day-to-day basis, me and my team, we work on different use cases across so many different industries, when in different departments. So we are so excited to share our experiences and whatever we have learned so far from all those years of working on different use cases with all those customers, with you all. And at the same time, we would love to hear from you on your experiences, your roadblocks, and just your thoughts on using data science in Domo.
All right.
I can go. Oh, go ahead. Go
Sorry.
ahead, Steven.
All right. My name is Steven Gatron. I'm also a senior data scientist here on the Domo Data Science Professional Services team. I've been here for about 2 years now, and what I really noticed about this working here, right, is that it's such a great platform for data science. So while before you have to have all of these different products together, right, like you have to code on your computer and then upload it to another source, and then your data comes from some SQL database or something like that. Domo makes it so easy just because it's all in one platform. And that's what I really liked about this, especially this data sciences group. And I feel where we can offer so much value just because all the data is here, all your code's going to be here, your model's going to live here, and all the dashboards that you have are going to be here. So I'm really excited to be a part of this. And yeah, thank you.
Awesome, thanks. Brian, do you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah, hey, my name is Brian Powell. I'm an associate data scientist here on our professional services data science team. I'd like to second what Steven said. Just the cohesiveness of Domo as a data science tool makes it really easy to put together solutions that allow you to do some of the complex modeling on one end, but also in the same platform, pull together the visualizations, sharing that easily with the stakeholders that need to be able to access the results of your solutions. So having had experience with other BI tools in the past at a bank, I know that that there was a lot of difficulty with getting those things shared with others, whether that was the dissemination of that information or the just the ease of rendering that. A lot of the time it took, it's hard enough to get stakeholders to buy in to some of the reports that you create in a dashboard. But when it takes 30 seconds to even 4 minutes for those KPI dashboards to render, it just makes it impossible to get that buy-in from stakeholders. So Domo is a great tool for that on the data analysis side, but that also travels over to the data science side, where we're also going to be using complex data and models. So happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Shelby, you want to go?
Hi, everyone. My name is Shelby McNeil. I'm a data scientist here at Domo as well. I'm the newest member of the data science team. I just had my 1-year anniversary at Domo this week. Go team! So I very much enjoyed being here. I will say that as far as working with clients, I've really enjoyed the kinds of projects that I've been able to work on. Different businesses have really interesting use cases that they want to know about. They're leveraging really interesting data. And so the work here that I get to do is very fun. And I just love numbers. So excited to be here.
What a nerd. I love it. That's why we're all on this team, though. Hi, everyone. My name is Florencia Silveira. I go by Flo. And I am also a data scientist on the Domo Data Sciences Professional Services team. And that's a mouthful now that I'm like, it's one thing to type it, but it's a different thing to try to say it. I absolutely love the Domo platform. And like Shelby said, I think my favorite part of the consulting side of our job is how diverse the use cases are and how different projects can be. And I think we get some projects that are kind of like repeated projects, right? Like everyone cares about churn and things like that. But it's also really fun when we get a completely out of the blue project or use case that requires a lot of like innovative thinking. So I think it's a really fun, it's a really challenging and fun part of the job. So, and I love Domo. I love the platform. I think it can do so much, and I just want everyone to use it. So, alrighty. Let me share my screen again, and Shelby will start giving some information about why you would want to use Domo for data science. So let me here go back to full screen. All right, Shelby, I am your peasant with clicking. So you let me know when you want me to click next.
Okay, thanks, Flo.
Yeah.
I wanted to start off this discussion by just talking about what is data science. I feel like sometimes data science has become this buzzword that everybody throws around, everybody wants to be doing it. But if you actually ask people like, well, what's data science mean? What does that entail? A lot of people are like, I don't know how to describe it. And so I really like this definition here, that data science just simply combines statistics with specific subject matter expertise to uncover actionable insights in an organization's data. So I like to think of it as data science equals statistics plus subject matter expertise plus data. And if this definition feels kind of broad or vague, that's because it is. And that's because in my mind, data science covers quite a bit of ground. So it can cover things like basic analytics. If you click forward, Flo, that's what a lot of our customers are used to doing. in Domo with like our visualizer, all of our figures and our graphs. Even just basic descriptive analysis like this bar and line chart can be really useful for helping businesses learn things about their clients or their revenue, etc. Beyond that, I think data science also obviously covers more advanced analytics. And you might have heard of similar of these buzz terms like machine learning or predictive analytics or AI. And I kind of bucket those all under this like advanced analytics umbrella, where this is more complicated statistics where you can get really, really interesting answers. And if you push forward, click forward, that's things like modeling. And as shown in this graph, this is looking at predicting customer churn for a business. And so obviously to predict the future, you need kind of a machine learning model that has the ability to do that. And so that is also encompassed in this broader term of data science. And you can create charts and analysis like what's shown here in Domo. And I don't think a lot of our customers necessarily understand that or know how to do that. And so we'll be diving into that more today, as well as showing you examples of some of the cool projects that we've done with the Domo tools.
Awesome.
So if you advance, go ahead.
Can I interject really quick? I mean, sorry, the rest of the team, but I want to ask them what they think, like what they think about data science and what it is and what it encompasses, right? Because I like try to, I love the definition you have. And I know we've been talking recently about, you know, how like data science is really like applying the scientific process to data, right? So you start with a question, you create hypotheses, and then you use whatever information you have available to answer that question. So in a lot of ways, it's like really data science. But I'm curious what other people on the team think about what data science entails in their perspective. If not, I have plenty to say, but
I can go. So I think when I first started as a data scientist, or before I started as a data scientist, I had a misconception that data science has to have a statistical algorithm. You have to have some kind of a fancy model running on the data, and there has to be a prediction, one prediction, or some kind of misconception like that. But I quickly realized that it's a very broad concept. I think what it entails is being able to use historical data and trends and relationship between data in the past to build any kind of algorithm. It can be a causal model, it can be a statistical model, it can be just a bunch of logic, conditional logic, to be able to project or predict the future outcomes that can, and in my opinion, can fit in the data science definition. So long story short, doesn't have to be a statistical model. Anything that you can use historical data to project out can be data science.
that's great. Thank you. Yeah, I find that a lot of use cases that we've been working on don't necessarily use like a predictive model to answer a business question. A lot of the time, it's really just really intense logic that needs to be built in with analytics in order to answer the question. So I agree with that.
I was just going to hop in and say I completely agree. And I think it's more you have a repertoire of tools, right? And you're trying to uncover the solution to some kind of use case, right? Discover some outcome. And I think part of data science is knowing what tools to apply at what time and what can be kind of the simplest solution to a very kind of complex problem. I think that's very important, knowing what tools to apply.
Yeah, like sometimes I think we need to overcomplicate the solution in order to get the answer. And sometimes it's about finding the least complex way to answer the question, right? Totally. So, alrighty. I can't see the cameras while I'm screen sharing, so I don't know if anyone else wants to speak up, but I'm ready to click next when necessary.
We can keep moving.
Okay.
What I want to talk about next is this point of why use Domo for data science. And to begin, when you do any kind of data science project, there's kind of a typical workflow that the project follows. And as you can see on this screen, you kind of start at the top in the green box where you define your problem of what do I want to know? What's my question? And then you go out and you get data and you store that somewhere. Once you have your data, you clean and you prep it according to what question you're trying to answer. You might do some feature engineering, which involves recoding variables, creating variables, etc. And then down here at the bottom in red, after you've done all that prep, is when you start actually modeling or applying algorithms or statistics to answer your question. And once you've built potentially some kind of model, you then optimize that model, tweak it, make sure you're getting the best results possible, and then you productionize that model. And what productionizing is making the model run into the future is how I think of it. So you want to be able to apply data in the future to the model so it will keep generating results, like essentially forever if you left it running. And then once you've productionized your model to continue spitting out results, then you want to visualize those results over time. You want to share them with stakeholders, etc. So that's kind of the broad workflow of how pretty much every kind of data science project that you work on goes. And one of the problems that you have when you do data science outside of Domo is that it typically requires many different toolboxes, meaning software, to do these different stages of the process. So as Flo is showing here, to collect and store data, you might have some kind of data warehouse tool. Then when you want to clean and prep and feature engineer, you need another ETL tool. When you actually do your modeling or your analyzing, you might have a statistical analysis tool. When you go to productionize that model, you might have some kind of machine learning engineering program. You might shoot it over to IT. Frequently, a lot of companies just don't have anything, so they can't productionize the model. And then lastly, when you go to visualize those results, you might use some kind of BI tool like Domo. And having to go back and forth with all of these different tools and streamline across all of these different tools is just a real hassle. And it makes doing data science very, very difficult because you have to know all these different software programs and all these different languages and be able to hook them all together. And where I think...
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Flo.
You just imagine like when you get to like the BI stage, right? Where you start visualizing results and say like a year from now, your data changes, like the categories in one feature change. So you have to go back like to 4 different tools to go back to the clean and prep data stage and then have to rework all of that in different places. Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Experience in that.
Yeah.
in my previous work. So that's where it's very valuable. So
yeah, like I said, the streamlining of just getting everything to flow together is just, it's often not automated, it's manual, like only one person knows how to do it. And when they leave, everyone's like, I don't know. So one of the nice things about Domo, if we keep progressing the slides, is that Domo enables you to do the full data science process using one tool. And so it's automatically streamlined, you can automate it, and it just makes doing everything so much easier because you're just in one interface. And to break this down, if we advance another slide, to kind of walk through the details of this, Domo has tools for every single stage of this process. So as many of you are aware, we have built-in cloud storage. If you house your data other places, you can connect to that data with these fancy data connectors Domo has. When you want to clean and prep and feature engineer, we have low and no code ETL called Magic ETL. It makes data cleaning very simple, no coding required. If you do prefer to do some kind of coding or programming, Domo offers SQL or Redshift data flows, Jupyter workspaces where you can code in R and Python. And then when you actually get to the modeling stage or the algorithm stage, we have some really great data science tools that makes training, validating, optimizing, and productionizing very seamless. And to do that, we have our Jupyter workspaces, scripting tiles, and AutoML. We'll actually be diving into more detail about that in the next slides, just to give you a brief overview of those, because I think a lot of our clients aren't super familiar with the offerings that we have, and they're great. And again, the last stage is just the visualizing and the disseminating. Domo makes this very easy. You can take all of your model results, all of your data output, throw it into figures and tables, create your dashboards, your custom apps, your Domo everywhere. And like I said, just automate everything so it all runs smoothly together in one place. And it's amazing. And that's why I personally love Domo. I think Flow is going to take it away with diving a little bit deeper into those data science offerings that we have now.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about those. So I'm going to cover basically these three right here: Jupyter Workspaces, scripting tiles, and AutoML. And I'll go through these quickly because I think we all want to really see the demos, because that ends up being the most exciting part, right? Like, let me see what can actually be done, right? But just a little bit about Jupyter Workspaces. Now, Jupyter Workspaces is really our bread and butter as the data science team at Domo. We try to do as much as possible in Jupyter. In Workspaces, Jupyter Workspaces is really like a web-based interactive development environment. You can code, you can bring in data, you can productionize models, you can explore your data, you can create really cool visualizations, and you can do all of this using R or Python. And as you can see here with the sentiment analysis, Shelby will actually be showing the sentiment analysis demo. The data processing and managing really happen in Jupyter. It tends to be pretty code intensive. This is our more code intensive option, but it's very flexible and very personalizable in terms of what you can do with your data. And there's some really cool features about Jupyter. Again, you can read and write data directly to and from Domo. So you can, as the data sets update, you can just rerun your code and it will take into account the changes that have been made. Again, you can use Python or R. You can choose your compute tier. So depending on how much you're going to be using Jupyter, you can pay accordingly because this is a premium feature that I can talk about a little bit about that later. You can productionize models now. So you can schedule a model to run every month in Jupyter at a specific time, much like you can with an ETL. You can run tests programmatically. You can schedule notebooks, as I mentioned. You can share workspaces. This is a new feature for Jupyter where you can have other people come in and collaborate on a notebook. And you can integrate with GitHub. So some really cool and useful features for Jupyter. Another option.
Go ahead. Sorry, one quick thing to point out here is we often get questions like, why would I use Jupyter and not Magic ETL?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I getting out of this Jupyter thing? And how I kind of describe it very broadly is like, if there are things, statistical things that you want to be doing that you cannot do with the tiles in Magic ETL, there is a very, very, very high likelihood that you will be able to do that in Jupyter. So any kind of analysis that you can think of that you looked up on the internet, modeling, etc., it's very likely that we can do it using R or Python in Jupyter. So this is our application of choice for any kind of advanced analysis that you want to do. Is that a fair representation?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. And I think to add to that, as I'll talk about next, you can run R or Python code in your ETL, but you can't really see the output in the way that you can see it in Jupyter. So in Jupyter, you will write your snippet of code, run it, and you can see what you've created, whether it be a visualization or whatever it is that you've done in R or Python. You can't really do that in ETL. In ETL, you just have to run your code and hope that it works well because you can't see the outputs. So that's Jupyter. Like we said, you also have the option for scripting tiles in Magic ETL. You can run R or Python code. I know I've done this when I want to do some feature engineering. And it's, like 1 or 2 lines of code. So for example, when I want to do one hot encoding for a bunch of columns, it's really easy to do with 1 line of R or Python. And since I have the option to do it in my ETL, it's faster than switching it back to Jupyter to do R or Python and then coming back to the ETL. So having that option is really, really nice. And the last one that we want to talk about is AutoML. And this is a low-code option for really generating and comparing multiple machine learning models and finding the best fit. And I just want to say about these three, and we'll get into the demos now because, again, that's the really fun part. All three of these features, Jupyter Notebooks, the scripting tiles, and Magic ETL and AutoML, are premium features, so they're all add-ons. So if you're interested in any of these, you'd have to talk to your AE or your CSM to really work out the details. But they're all tools that we use regularly, and that again, Jupyter is definitely our favorite. But they're all very good options, and depending on your skill set and your ability to code, you can consider the appropriate avenue for this. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen, and Shelby will give the demo on sentiment analysis.
Yeah. So one other thing just quickly to note about those products is some businesses want to run Jupyter once in a while, and other businesses want to run it every day, all day. And so we also have packaging that reflects that. You can choose different tiers based on the amount that you think you will actually be using the data science product. So that's something to keep in mind as well. For the demos, I will be demoing a project that I worked on regarding sentiment analysis. And what sentiment analysis is broadly is it's determining what kind of feeling is represented in text. So as an example, when you and I read some kind of text, we can tell generally based on words that are used, like happy or sad or angry, whether the sentiment is positive or negative, because words have meaning. And we can train computers to do the same thing, specifically statistical algorithms, to read through text that we give it, and for the algorithm to then be able to decipher, is this text positive? Is it negative? What kind of comments is it what kind of topics is it talking about? What kind of feelings is it expressing? And where this comes in really useful for businesses that we've seen application a lot is in regards to online reviews. So I'll share my screen now to kind of give more color to what I'm talking about. But as you're aware, many businesses get thousands and thousands of reviews every day. And while they get stars attached with those reviews that kind of tell whether the review is positive or negative, people generally leave comments with more description of why they gave that review. And it can be very helpful for businesses to understand when someone gives them 1 star, if they can interpret and read that text, they can understand why did I get a 1-star review? Is it for this reason? Is it for that reason? And that's really useful information that's hard to do as a human trying to read 1,000 different reviews every day and categorize that. So we can use a statistical algorithm to do this automatically for us and spit out the results in really nice graphs and figures. So that's the idea behind sentiment analysis. If I can share my screen now, let's see. Oh, there we go. I just want to make sure, are you guys seeing this data flow?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to walk through very quickly before we get to the dashboards, the whole data flow, I guess, the whole data science workflow process. So as you can see here, I'm in data flows, which is, and Magic ETL, which is pretty familiar with most of our our Domo clients. I've got my input data set of, in this case, it's Google reviews. And I'm just doing some basic cleaning here with our low-code tiles. So selecting the columns I want to use, doing some feature engineering, filtering to the reviews that I'm interested in, and then I'm saving this as my cleaned data set. And what I can do then is hop right over to our Jupyter workspaces. And what you're seeing here, this is the Jupyter workspaces interface. Pulled up here, I have different notebooks, and that's where you enter your code. And so a blank notebook just looks like this, and you can type in and enter code as you wish. And so this is my notebook for running a sentiment analysis demo. And it's coded in Python, if you're familiar with that language. And just to kind of give just a broad overview very quickly, First, I just read in that data set, that cleaned reviews for sentiment analysis with one line of code. And then I proceed to type in all the other code in Python to do what I want. And in this case, I want a sentiment analysis, and I found a package, an algorithm that will do the sentiment analysis for me. And so when I run this notebook, it applies the algorithm to the data. And then as you can see here, I can very easily save this analysis of my results to a data set, and then hop back over into Domo and see that data set in the data set center, like you would any kind of other data sets that you'd made with the data flow. As you can see here, Jupyter data has this orange icon, and I can very easily access the results of that analysis now in Jupyter. And like I said, typical to any other data set, I can now create a dashboard and cards using that data. So to show this analysis, to start with, I'll just show what's at the top, which is very easily we can see here, I've got a pie chart showing what's the overall sentiment of my Google reviews. And in this case, it's about half and half, a little bit more positive than negative, which is a good sign. I can see very clearly how many reviews that have been analyzed. I can see the overall rating that's been assigned to these reviews. This is like the number of stars in Google. So got a lot of 5-star reviews, got a lot of 1-star reviews, and on average, it's about 3 stars. And one of the nice things with this dashboard is I can filter all of these cards to specific locations of a company. If I want to look at, just one store, I can filter to a specific time frame. So right now I'm looking at reviews from the last year, but I could filter this down and look at reviews from the last month. And you'll notice filtering very slowly. It will filter to just the last month. I'm going to take these off. And yeah, I guess just to highlight here, the nice thing is that the sentiment analysis has very easily told me whether my reviews are positive, negative, or neutral. Another cool thing that I was able to do was have the algorithm pull out different topics that are talked about in the review. So as an example, let's say I'm concerned about what customers have to say about prices, the selection offered at my store, or the staff. I can tell the sentiment analysis algorithm, look for these kinds of topics, and then it will categorize my reviews as whether or not they have those topics. So out of my 1,000 reviews, the algorithm identified that 160 are talking about prices, 300 are talking about staff, etc. So I can very easily see that when people are talking about prices, often they're saying positive things. But when they mention staff in their reviews, they are not very happy. They're more often negative than positive. And that's really insightful as a company to know what specific topics people are complaining about or praising our company about. And I will say that one of the nice things as well is that you can search for any review topic. So if I wanted to look up, French fries or hamburgers, if I'm a fast food restaurant, I could search for those topics in the reviews and have those pulled out. Related to sentiment analysis, we can do word clouds, where the algorithm will go through and literally count how many times a word is used across all of our reviews, and then tell us very easily in this word cloud which words appear most often. So if I were to click on, positive reviews, it would tell me, okay, when I get positive reviews, they're most often talking about customer service, etc. I think it's really slowly filtering. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I'm screen sharing, but that's really nice to be able to see what words people are mentioning that you might not have thought of that are coming up in reviews a lot. A few other things to show with the sentiment analysis real quick.
Hello.
I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know why this card is down.
It says you lost connection to Domo at the bottom. Oh, there it is.
Okay. It popped back up.
Yeah.
Clients really like when we have this live feed of recent reviews where they can literally read the most recent reviews that are coming in real time. And like I said, because everything is synced from our data storage all the way up through this analysis to this dashboard, we can essentially get close to live time results of what reviews are coming in the last minute, the last 5 minutes. And so you can very easily read just what people are actually saying, which is really interesting. The last thing that I'll highlight here with the sentiment analysis is it can be useful to track the kinds of sentiment and reviews that you're getting over time. In case, for example, you implement interventions to try to maybe intervene with your staff to get less negative reviews. You can see over time, you know, are my negative reviews, are they going down? Are they going up? Are they stable, etc.? People also like to look at the ratings over time, just the 1 to 5 stars really quickly, as well as the number of reviews that they're getting, because that can tend to fluctuate based on season as well. So with that, I'll kind of end the sentiment analysis demo. This is just some of the basic stuff you can do with sentiment analysis, but it's very impactful for businesses to be able to have this very easily accessible for them to look at every day. And I'll turn it back to Flo.
That's awesome.
For her demo.
Thanks, Shelby. That looks amazing.
Thank you.
I like low-key want to run this for like some of my favorite restaurants and see if like the reviews are consistent with my personal opinions, or if, you know, I'm biased.
They're fun to read.
Yeah, I believe it. Okay, so just as a little overview of the demo I'll be doing. So a really popular use case that we've been getting recently is an engagement score. And an engagement score use case is really a form of a data reduction technique. It's when you have a lot of columns about how a customer or a member or a client interacts with your company, and you just want to make sense of all those columns, right? The demo I'll be showing is about a credit union, and this credit union, hypothetically, is interested in knowing how the members engage with the credit union in order to really know who to target for special promotions, or to decide whether or not someone should have their credit limits increased, things like that. So they wanted a single number to really assess how reliable or trustworthy this member is. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's do this one. Much like what the demo that Shelby showed, this is powered mostly by data flows. This, because there wasn't any predictive component to this data science use case, we were able to do everything in ETL using tiles. So again, Lion's Point is our hypothetical credit union, and they wanted to know how members engaged with them recently, right? Now, it's really difficult to come up with a single score to capture absolutely everything, because when we think about a credit union, people engage with credit unions in multiple ways, right? Your tenure at the credit union is a type of engagement. How you interact with loans or with credit cards or with financial wellness programs. So what we did is we created relationship scores for each of these subcategories. So we have 7 subcategories, and I can show you really quick what the categories are. So we have this overall relationship score that was calculated using the 7 subscores. And these 7 subscores are account history, and this includes things like tenure and number of associated accounts, checking/savings activity, and this includes things like, did you deposit a bad check? What is your average number of transactions in the last 12 months? Are you enrolled in auto pay or automatic transfers? Credit card activity. Do you have a credit card or not with this credit union? Did you miss a non-time payment? What is your average number of transactions? Then we have the loan repayment relationship score. And all of these are calculating using different logic. And this logic was informed by the credit union and how they determined someone's engagement. So if they told us that, based on their logic, if someone has 4 active loans, are they actively engaged? Well, maybe. It depends on whether or not they've missed a payment. It depends on whether or not they've used the skip a payment program. It depends on if they've paid off any loans early. So all of this logic was built into calculating these scores. We also have an investment relationship score. So do they have any invested assets? Are they involved in financial planning? And then how do they interact with the credit union app? So this is just kind of an overview of the scores, and we have definitions for each of these based on the logic that was decided upon by the credit union with our consulting team. So just as an overview for executives, these are just some really interesting findings from our relationship score engagement. As you would expect, individuals or members who are more engaged have much higher tenure on average, 25 years compared to 13 years for those who are less engaged. And they also have an average of more associated accounts. We have 73% of our members enrolled in the app, and those people on average log in 6.5 times a week into the app, and they engage in 1.8 key interactions. And these key interactions are defined as, did they make a transfer? Did they deposit a check online? Did they pay off a loan? Anything like that, that's considered a key interaction. We also see that out of the 200 members in our sample, 158 have a current loan. Now, our target is 180, as indicated by this line here. So we're close to our target, but we're not there yet. But this allows us, as data updates, to see how we're meeting that target, whether it's going down, where it's going up. And if we were to do like a historical trend, we could see whether we're trending upwards or downwards and towards meeting that trend or that target. We also see, for example, that individuals with no history of missed payments have almost an entire active loan higher on average than those who did miss a payment. So I think that is something that we can expect. 31% of our members have any sort of investment with an average investment amount of $45,000. And this, again, it's an average, it's not a median. So there's tons of people with a couple $100 invested, and there's a few people with a few million. So there's a lot of diversity in this. For the sake of time, I'll skip some of these figures. But out of the 200 members in our sample, 37 members met with a representative about financial wellness. And of those 37, 17 are enrolled in the financial wellness planning program, 18 are enrolled in the savings goals program, and 15 are enrolled in the budgeting assets program. So of these 37 people, a good chunk of them did end up enrolling. So we have a 91% conversion rate to program enrollment for the people that have met. So it's pretty good, right? And then we have this really massive and overwhelming card, but this is essentially every member in our sample, along with their summary relationship score. So this is their overall, taking into account all 7 subscores and how they engage with the credit union, as well as all the subscores for each of these. So say we are interested in, let's open up this card a little bigger. Say we want to know about this member 707. Did not do that on purpose, but let's look at 707. And their summary score is high. And when we look across, we see that they're very high on the account relationship or the account feature score, the checking and the credit card. But then they're moderate on the loan repayment and moderate on the mobile app. And they have no score for investment. So they just haven't invested anything. So if we click on this, And then we're really interested in this moderate, right? Loan repayment score of being moderate, because they're very high across other ones. What is leading this score to be a moderate? We see when we click on it that they have 1 active loan, they have 8 past loans, they're enrolled in autopay, but they have missed an on-time payment. They've never paid off a loan early, and they have used the skip a payment program. So this is what these are, quote unquote, like punishments, right? That's why they're moderate as opposed to being high, despite having an active loan, despite having had so many past loans, and despite this auto pay setup, because they have these red flags, right? So that's just one way that executives or any stakeholder can just, look at a member. Let's say we're sticking with 707 and just filter down to a specific member. Or alternatively, you can say you're interested in the people who are really low on the app relationship score. So let's do low and moderate. So these are people who are enrolled, but who don't use the app very much. You could use this filtering to target these individuals to know who to reach out to or who to, try to provide training for. So, wow, it's amazing how fast time goes when you're having fun with a dashboard. We won't even get into this relationship score dashboard very much, but this one just provides some insights about each of the subscores, along with a table, much like what we saw when we were looking at the loan default score for that 707 member, of what features are contributing to their subscore. But Domo lets you do all of this, right? In the same platform. You can put together really nice tables. You can filter, you can drill down, you can, create really interactive dashboards that are really easy to use for executives and for data scientists. So I will stop sharing my screen, and we only have 5 minutes left now. So I don't know if anyone has questions or comments.
Yeah, Florencia, we have as much time as you need. So there's no hard deadline, but obviously if folks are on the call and watching and you do have questions or comments for the team, I'm glad to take those now. And looks like we do have a comment, which is great. But also, this session had a lot of everything. This session had a little introduction to data science and then really kind of dove into seeing it in action, which is great. So let's go over to YouTube. Guta, I'm going to pretend like that's how you pronounce your name. I'm sure I'm getting it way wrong, so my apologies up front. Asked, is this all insight generated by just using Magic ETL?
I will assume that question is about the engagement score dashboard.
I think so.
It's partially created using Magic ETL, and then a lot of the insight is built using the analyzer tool in Domo, which is our visualization tool. And within that tool, you can create a bunch of different charts. You can create beast modes. And I did that quite a bit, actually, to put together some interesting cards. So for example, we had like a 5-point relationship score generally, right? Like it was none, low, moderate, high, very high. But within Analyzer, I was able to combine the high and very high to refer to the highly engaged customers as opposed to the less engaged customers. So a lot of these insights can be discovered using Analyzer and putting together different charts and seeing the different patterns and then going from there.
And to emphasize too, like the Magic ETL, the Analyzer, that requires no coding abilities. So Flow was able to do all that without using R or Python or anything like that. So it's very accessible and very easy for anybody to learn how to create really cool dashboards like that, which is wonderful.
And just following up on that comment, maybe that's a good topic for a lunch and learn is Analyzer and how to use Analyzer to find these insights. So I will make note of that.
Absolutely. So, we'll wait a few more seconds here, see if any more questions pop up. But as always, we appreciate the data science team for agreeing to do these every first Thursday of every month will be a lunch and learn dedicated to Flow and all of the folks over there at Data Science. Thank you guys so much for joining. Shelby, Vishaka, Brian, Stephen in the background there, Florencia, Christy as well. We really appreciate the time. We can't wait for the next Data Science meetup here on the Lunch and Learns. If you have any questions, obviously, you can reach out through me. I'll forward it to the appropriate person. It's really easy around here. It's just our first last name at domo.com. But until the next one, we have 2 great sessions coming up next week. We are on Tuesday and Thursday of next week. So make sure you check all of the spaces on the dojo for those times as well. So as everybody on this call, I speak for everyone saying thank you to those that have watched and appreciate the time. And we can't wait to see you on the next first Thursday of the month coming up in April. Thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks
Thanks,
everyone.
guys.
Thank you.